I like to reach 1,000 views and know that you're going to enjoy this video. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Linda Scheck-Snyder and today we are going to make a traditional semi-homemade spaghetti sauce. We're going to use turkey ground meat, but you can choose to use whatever you like. If you want to use ground beef, that's fine. But I'm using turkey today. So we're going to start off with some red pepper, a tablespoon of minced garlic, 2 tablespoons of fresh basil with some parsley from the farmer's market in our town this morning. And I'm using a tablespoon of Truvia sugar. It's a substitute sugar, but you can use regular sugar. Maybe add a second tablespoon. I would taste it a little at a time. You're going to use some fresh cracked pepper. And the key ingredient here is going to savor your flavoring is the maple syrup. You could use, if you don't have maple syrup, you could use honey as well. And we're going to use about a tablespoon and about a teaspoon full. We're going to use some sea salt and some oregano. And for our starters, we're going to use our traditional spaghetti sauce, just a traditional plain spaghetti sauce. That's going to be used for a starter. And then we'll add tomato paste. And my favorite ingredient, garlic salt. So these are all our ingredients that we'll be using today, and some fresh basil from the farmer's market this morning, extra for the end. And that's pretty much it. So anyways, let's get started on our sauce. Okay, a few other ingredients are going to be olive oil for our pan. And we are going to add sherry cooking wine in our sauce as well. So let's get started. You want to start off with a medium setting for your temperature. Medium high, and about a few tablespoons of olive oil. I'm thinking about maybe 4 here. And let the pan get warm. Kind of spread all that oil all over. So you want it to be nice and warm. Let's set that on. Yeah, it's a medium high. Okay, we're going to add our garlic. Let that cook. We're going to add some salt. I would say about a 1/4 teaspoon or so. We're going to be adding the maple syrup later. I'm using actually any syrup that I have in my cabinets, and I'm using Aunt Jemima. And kids like that syrup. So that's just going to help give this sauce some really flavorful taste. Okay. Once I get my garlic cooked, I'm going to add a little bit of my garlic seasoning, which I will do quite a bit throughout this process. I will taste and add my garlic. I'm going to reduce this to a low temperature. I'm going to add my sherry cooking wine. How about a quarter of a cup of that? Let's add the sugar. And the maple syrup. And I'm just going to taste as I go, because this is the only way I'll be able to know if it's the right taste or the right seasoning for me, as I have to taste and go. I really don't do measurements when I cook, but I am here today for you guys. So, but it smells wonderful right now. You can smell the maple syrup with the garlic. And we're just going to add a little bit of red pepper flakes to this. Maybe a pinch, not too much. Stir it around. The sugar is dissolving along with the maple syrup. There's still some granules in there, but it looks pretty good and it smells wonderful in here once again. Let's add some cracked pepper, just a little bit, 2 cracks. And then I'm going to add my traditional pasta sauce. This is my base. It's kind of a semi-homemade recipe because I'm using this as part of my recipe. I do like to add water to get the rest of this out, so I'll be right back. So now that I have my water, I'm going to add that to my sauce. I'm also going to add a nice pinch full of oregano, maybe 2. I'm going to let this simmer for a while and I'm going to put the lid on it. And then once it simmers for about 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to taste it and see if I need to add more ingredients like the seasoning salt, and maybe adding more of the maple syrup. Sometimes I may add more sweetener. It all depends. If I'm using regular sugar, sometimes it calls for more. But if I'm using a substitute, it calls for less. And today I'm using a substitute. So let's put the lid on that and let it simmer. So I pretty much like to just create as I go when I make my sauces. My recipes change from time to time, but I do like to use mostly all these ingredients in my sauce. It just depends on how much I'm using, how it tastes or how it came out. And once it starts to boil, I'm going to add our fresh ingredients, our basil and our parsley. Meanwhile, I'm going to start on the turkey, so I'm going to move this over. And I'm going to start cooking the turkey, so I'm going to turn this off for a minute while I get the turkey, and I'll be right back. Okay, while my sauce is simmering, I'm going to have my turkey in my pan on medium, and I'm going to season that turkey with my favorite seasoning. Once again, I like to add my garlic salt. You may think there's a lot of salt going on here, but there really isn't until you taste it, and it's kind of bland if you don't put enough. So we're going to start by adding the seasoning. To the turkey. And I think I'm going to add some oregano to this as well. And I will add a little bit of the parsley and basil. Cracked pepper. And I think I was going to put the salt, but I'm going to add more of this garlic seasoning because there's just not enough in there. That's about it. You can smell that basil cooking into the meat. It smells wonderful. Delightful. Oops, we lost a little bit of basil. Okay, it looks like the sauce is also simmering right now and it's boiling. I'm going to reduce that. And I'm going to add the rest of my basil and parsley to that. See? Give it a little stir. At this point, I'm going to taste. And put that on medium-low. I'm going to taste, and I'm not sure if it's going to be flavorful yet. The flavors will be there. It's just the seasoning with the salt and the sweetener. Oh, I think that's good. It's perfect. Let's put that back in. I'm going to add my tomato paste to that. Let's see. I have about 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons, 5, 6, and let's say 7. That looks good. Let's give it a little stir. So we'll thicken up the sauce. And because we added this, we may have to add a little bit more seasoning and a little bit more maple, but we'll see. We'll let it simmer for a bit. That looks good. So let's put the lid back on that. Let's get back to our turkey. Now I like to include the juice from the turkey in my sauce because there's a lot of flavor in there. So I'm not going to be straining it from the pan. I'm going to add that to my sauce. It's looking good. The smell is very intense. It has the basil, the garlic, and I can smell the spaghetti sauce already, the red sauce, the marinara sauce. It's looking good. Okay. I like to break down my turkey down in smaller pieces. I don't like them too big in my sauce. I like to have them pretty even. Let's try the meat. I think I'm going to add a little bit more salt. You think that there's a lot of salt here, but the seasoning is not that strong, the garlic seasoning, but adding a little bit of salt is going to enhance the flavor. Oh, much better. Perfect. We're done here. I'm just going to wait till sauce simmers a little bit, and then we're going to move forward. We'll let that stay there. Turn it off. Let's move our put on low. At this point, I might add some water to my sauce, but I will see. Looks pretty thick. We'll see once we put the turkey in. You're probably wondering why I add maple syrup. I add maple syrup to my sauce so that it keeps the flavors all together. It enhances the flavors in the sauce and it saves them. So that's why I add that to my sauce. Most of the time you won't even taste the maple syrup. It looks like we're coming to a boil. I think we're ready to put our meat in. Let's pour all that together. I'm making the sauce because tomorrow we are going to have my oldest daughter come over and we are going to have steak and zucchini noodles with some red sauce. This is a great meat sauce, by the way. So once again, we're going to cover for another 10 minutes, then we're going to taste and go from there. Okay, let's see how it tastes now. Sample it. It's really thick sauce. This is perfect. Very nice. I think it needs a little bit of pepper flakes, so I'm going to add a little bit of a pinch of that. Just a little small, generous amount. And how about a teaspoon of more of the maple syrup? Just a teaspoon. You won't be tasting maple syrup in here. So let's give that a little swirl, cover it up for another 10 minutes, and I think we are done. I'm going to add some basil on top of here in a minute. But you can see all that basil that's in there too already. But nice thick sauce. Let's see if I can bring it to the camera without making a mess. See? It's very thick sauce. I love turkey. I prefer turkey over, it's very lean, but I prefer it over the ground beef. I don't like to eat ground beef any longer. So I do a lot of turkey. Okay, let's give that a little 10 minutes and Okay, let's check our sauce out. I think we are done. Little sample again. I like to taste as I go. This is the best way. Since I don't really measure my food or my recipes, I just go as I just taste, then this is the best way for me. So let's see here. It's very hot. Perfect. This is delicious. You have to make this recipe. It's very simple and easy. It just takes those ingredients, but it's not hard to make. You'll love this. Your kids will love this. Your family will love this. Your guests will love this. But please, make this recipe. I'm going to add a little bit of some basil. Finish it off. And that is it. We are done. This is it. It smells wonderful. If you could only be here, but that's okay because you're going to make this recipe, right? This is an excellent recipe. You can't go wrong with this recipe. So I hope you liked my channel and my video. Please hit subscribe or the like button and the little bell on the right hand corner, and we'll see you soon. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye now. Enjoy.